Destroylonely last night just dropped one of the best albums of 2025 so far, which is Broken Hearts 3. That finally finishes the trilogy, and he definitely stepped up his game on the production side. So today I'm going to be going into FL Studio and showing you all different production and music theory tips and tricks that are used in Broken Hearts 3 to improve the sound of your beats. But before we get into it, I just want to ask you all if you could like, subscribe, and comment. It'd really help me grow my channel and spread this video to others. But anyways, let's get right to the video. So to make a Broken Hearts 3 type beat, the main thing that I noticed is all the beats on the album are around like 120 BPM. So I decided to go for like 124, and that's super important if you want to get like the chill vibe. And the first thing I added was this pad that I made in Serum. This is what it sounds like. I kind of did the same thing for my Jumanji tutorial, which was the single for this album, where you kind of just lay down like one chord and you might give it a little bit of variation. And you also want to get like a pad, a string, and you just want to drown it in reverb. And that's basically what I did. I put Valhalla Vintage Verb on it. Didn't go too crazy, but at the same time I did make it ambient enough. And when you break down the MIDI, it's actually really simple. Like it's literally just like a minor seventh. I added the C in here, which kind of made it like a major ninth, C major ninth. Then I decided to layer it with another pad. Can't really even hear it in the background, especially when you're playing it with the other one. But it definitely does fill in for that high end that it kind of needed before. Another theme that you see a lot in this album, in songs like Screwed Up, Leash, and Blowin' Smoke, is guitars, similar to like If Looks Could Kill from his previous album. So I basically just wanted to incorporate something like that, so I just added like a guitar with the top line melody. I got the sound out of Ample Guitar, which is a free plugin, you all can go get it, and this is what it sounds like. So super chill, just kind of in the background. I added a lot of effects to it. I added Ignite, Emissary, which is kind of like some distortion effect, Soundgodizer, Valhalla Delay, and Valhalla Reverb, just to make it a lot more spacey. So this is what it sounds like with no effects. This is with effects. So yeah, it makes a huge difference and really gives it like a cool natural sounding vibe. Next up, when I was listening to the song Leash, but they added this super fast plucks sound in the background. And then as I was listening, I was like, wait, is that in a third step? So that's exactly what I did. I laid down a pluck in third step mode. And this literally just follows the pad before it. Just go up to the magnet, usually it'll be like half step or the fourth step, and just select third step. And as you can see, there's 3 spaces in the grid right here. And then later in the video, once we get to drums, you'll see that that's incorporated a lot too. Next up, I added this like string slash plucky sort of noise from Serum. Pretty much on this just kind of followed my ear. Valhalla Uber mod on this just to kind of make it spacier, not necessarily like reverb, but just kind of in the headphones make it sound wider. And then next up, when I was listening to Kansas, it'd be kind of like this where there's a pad in the background and then you just have like a million leads coming in and out of the beat. So that's what I kind of decided to add right here. This thing that like plays every 2 bars is just this synth lead I found out of Serum. Super cool, adds a lot of variation. And then I added something else similar to that too. This pluck I found out of Serum as well. I used a lot of Serum on this. And it just kind of plays these chords that are kind of like stabby. Something you wouldn't even notice, like honestly, if I didn't show you that. It's just something to kind of be tucked away in the background. And then next up, one of like the most important things on the beat, the songs like Open It Up and Screwed Up, and then a bunch of other like songs that have samples on the album, they use vocal chops heavy. So basically I just found like a random vocal chop somewhere hiding in my FL. Sounded like this. Yeah, basically I was just looking for something that's like super fast, not really fast paced, but choppy basically. And then basically I just, I keep saying basically, I hate, but when I'm editing these videos and I find myself using those same like words, those buzzwords, it makes me want to lose my mind. But anyways, I say anyways a lot too. So then once I had this vocal chop, I copy and pasted it and I put it up here, and then I hit this and I hit make unique. So it basically gave me 2 separate clips, and then I pitched the second one up like a whole octave, so it gives this effect instead of just sounding plain and dry like this. And this is what it sounds like with the rest of it. And that was it for the melody. There's some stuff later that I'm gonna show you all because it has to do with the bridge. I just kind of added some more like effects and stuff like that. Hey, before I continue with this video, I just want to ask you all if you could please go buy my loop kit. If you want to make trap beats, it's super good for anything in that style. It's got happy, sad, chill, angry, whatever you need. It is in this kit. I'll show you all right here. It's got over 130 loops. Look at all these loops. You can't get tired of it. So yeah, I'll put a sneak peek of like a loop here on screen. And if you like what I cook up on this channel, you'll like what's in this kit, because every beat on this channel I made before June, I'm pretty sure like 90% of them, the loops are in this kit. So if you want to buy this, I'll leave it in the top left. It's at a super affordable price for how much you're getting. But anyways, let's get right back to the video. But next up, I moved on to the drums. And so I just threw down like a normal clap pattern that you hear in like all trap beats. And then I moved on to the hi-hat. Now the hi-hats in these beats are really unique. On songs like Open It Up and So High, they just had these really complicated hi-hat patterns. So I tried to make something more complicated than I usually do. Instead of just going here and then double clicking and then hitting fill in each 2-step, I tried to like actually try on my hi-hat. And so this is why I laid down. As you can see, changing the notes up a lot, changing the pitch a lot, and changing the timing too. Like I was talking about earlier, I'm using like the 3rd grids for the rolls. And then also another thing I noticed in the song Open It Up, they use this really cool effect where they grab like an open hat and they give it like a slide note down here, so it slowly changes the pitch down. And they kind of use that with the hi-hat, so whenever the hi-hat stops, that's when the open hat comes in. And then I just added like a snare here. And then another accent snare here at the end that kind of just rattles. This is a super unorthodox pattern. Usually you'd place it like right here, but I noticed a lot of the places on the album, a bunch of the rhythms aren't where they'd usually be. They're kind of dragged back a little bit or dragged forward. Then I added a rim, another rim, but slightly higher pitched. And then I added this like really cool sounding effect. I'm not sure what instrument you'd call this. It says it's a rim, but it sounds like a really reverb, spacey, like tom, but like with no low end. And I just kind of had it play on the last 2 beats. And then similar to like my Jumanji tutorial that I did, a lot of these beats at the end of the 8 bars or whatever, they'll have a snare roll. And so I did the same thing on this beat too. And that was about it for like the drums. Like some of the sounds, like the patterns were kind of complicated, but as far as like the sound selection goes, it's like super basic stuff. Then next up, the moment that everybody has been waiting for, the 808. Now when I was listening to songs like Blowing Smoke and Risk, one thing I noticed was the 808 sounded like it changed. Like they used a different 808 like throughout different sections of the song. But then I realized it was actually the same 808, but one was shortened and one was extended. So here's what I mean. Originally when I got this 808, this is what it sounded like. But I also wanted to just kind of have like a punchy, kicky sound just to leave some space open. So I duplicated it over by just right clicking and hitting clone. And then once I had it, it looked like the same as before. But then I just went to this out knob and raised it to like 75%. So it's like a super short 808. And so with that, I was able to alternate throughout like these patterns, and it gave it like a super cool effect. So out of nowhere, that sub just kind of comes in and it gives it like a really cool feeling, and it just makes your beat like not as repetitive and not as boring over time. And that's something like a listener would definitely pick up on, and it gives a really cool feel. Now as for the pattern, super simple pattern. Like I was talking about earlier with that snare, there was a few unorthodox things I did with this. One thing I noticed too from I Am Music is they do this with the 808s. They'll just put the 808 in like a really random spot. So like usually the 808 would hit in like the middle of this beat right here, but it doesn't. It hits like in between that and the next beat. And I add like a little roll here or whatever. The notes I chose to play with it are basically just the notes from the pad. And so yeah, that's about it for like all the melodies and drums and whatnot. I'll play like everything we have so far together, and then I'll break down how I did cool things like the intro and bridge. The song Screwed Up on the album, they actually do this really cool effect with the bass on like a bridge to the chorus, and it's basically like where the bass kind of does this thing where it hits like every other bar building up to the next one. And what I did to get that effect is I just put like a ton of distortion, so I added that like guitar amp from earlier, and just EQ'd certain stuff, spread the stereo out, added shaper box, and this is what gave it that effect of the filter like slowly bringing the high end back in. And then I also added the Vox too. And then I also took out like the higher pitched vocal. I just thought it'd sound cool if everything just kind of like chilled out for a second. And so I'm pretty sure that's literally it, other than like, I mean, as far as arrangement goes, I literally just took out drums here and there, took out melodies here and there just to give it like a certain build up effect. But yeah, I'll just let the beat play on the outro. Please go follow me on Instagram. I'll leave that in the link in the description, and go join my Discord. I'll leave that in the top right. We have a bunch of people in there making beats, having a good time. Super fun place to be. But I'll see y'all in the next upload. You all have a good day.